All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today at our training for our June release. We're going to cover some really interesting items around contact trace. We really thank everybody for being here today. The session is recorded, so you will have access to the session. We'll share it as we do our other sessions. Feel free to ask questions. You can ask questions either through the chat or through the Q&A, and we'll be happy to get to those. I'm going to go ahead and jump. So like I said, today's a training June release. Our agenda for today, at the beginning, we're really just going to cover a quick contact trace overview, just a brief review of some of the features that we may have already published, but also just to give a good sense of what's on contact trace and what you should be looking at. Even if you are a veteran of the software, there might be some new things here that you may have not seen or not be using yet. After that, we're going to dig into something that is brand new, which is our contact trace reports, really empowering you to look at the data to drive your success for things like managing COVID on campus and general wellness. So really focusing on the reports around case management and general data there. And then we're also going to talk about some really interesting ways for you to stay up to date, not only to stay up to date with the current stuff that's coming out, which is what we call what's new, but also what is coming in the future around our roadmap. So some really interesting pieces there as well in the stay up to date section. Like I said, we're really going to start off with a contact trace overview. I'm going to pass that off to my colleague Altamash, who's really been driving with the team and to really kick it off and kick into the overview.
Thanks, Dimitri. Hey, everyone. Glad to be here again to talk about some of the new improvements we've made on this June release. We have these sessions that happen on a monthly basis. It's around the first early stage of every month that we host these. So please make sure that you're registering to all of them. And we're going to be continually training on the new improvements that we make on our platform. So before we get started, the contact trace entitlement is an add-on that you can purchase that is separate from our base package. So there are some items that are available to our base customers, but if you want the full experience, please reach out to our campus success consultant, and they will be able to walk you through and explain in more detail some of the benefits that it provides.
And for the audience today, Altamash, is it safe to say that if they've purchased something called contact trace and they have everything, there's nothing more to purchase?
Yeah, they have everything, yeah.
So anybody on the call today or anybody watching the recording, if you've purchased contact trace from Ready, you have everything you need to, no need to purchase anything else. If you haven't and it's the first time you're hearing about it, well then yes, it is that new paid entitlement that is separate from the rest of our offerings.
Yeah. So before we jump into reports, I just want to give a quick overview of the entire contact trace feature set and the entitlements that are available to you. We have forms, we have QR code, we have cases and exposure notification. I'm going to be doing a quick overview of each and how they can help you in various different ways when you're thinking about vaccinations, testing, contact tracing, and other related safe reopening initiatives for your campus. Let me share my screen, Dimitri. So this is the Campus Cloud. If you have purchased the entitlement, where you will see a section Health and Wellness, and you will see all the features related to it: forms, QR code, cases, exposure notifications. Going through an overview of each. Forms, what Forms allows you to do is build custom forms for your Safe Reopen initiative. These can be vaccination testing form, pre-screening forms, or any other various type of form that you want to build. We have quick setup templates available. In the last month, we added 2 new ones, which were vaccination and testing. So you can quickly get up and running a form for vaccination testing. What Forms allows us to do is allows us to create a very easy form, which we can publish through the app, or we can publish through the web as well, and we can share it with students or even guests or other members that are coming to campus that are not there on a daily basis, but we want to know their information and make sure that our campus is safe. We can send them an email around this. So it's both web and app. We can share these forms and collect all this data. So we're collecting this information, and using this information, we're providing next steps and communications to students, faculty, staff, and any guest that's coming on campus. So Forms allows us to really get that information, share templated version for across all our participants that we're sending it to, and collect the information that we can then make decisions on. QR code. QR codes, what this allows us to do is this allows us to identify across our campus which spaces have students that, if it's students, if it's faculty, staff member, which spaces on campus have a lot of capacity, which spaces have minimal capacity, which spaces have students that are, let's say, confirmed positive for COVID or they're exposed. It lets us identify in a very seamless way all of this information, and it uses our QR code system, the same system that our event assessment and our service provider assessment uses. So we just simply create a QR code for a location, or we can import it in bulk via CSV. After doing that, we can just take it and we can download the QR code, and we can paste it or laminate it and put it in different rooms, different building entrances. And the idea is students come on campus, they take out their campus app, they scan into the phone, using their phone, they use the scanner, and they scan in, and it automatically gives them a record of entry that they've entered the building. This also allows us to do contact tracing. This is how our contact tracing system works. It uses our QR code system. So as students are moving around campus, they're scanning the QR code. And if it's not a QR code, there can also be manual entries done. We have a self check-in and kiosk check-in page as well. Kiosk check-in meaning you have someone that's sitting at a desk. Let's say there's a sports event happening. Someone would be asking students to or checking students on their own. Or you can have a self check-in link that can be just sent to students, where students can automatically come in here. Or this one doesn't have it, sorry. I need to enable the settings for this one. Let's check in. No. Tutoring center, active, check-in only, check-in, check-out, QR code active. Yeah, so sorry, yeah, so I enabled the setting, but basically that self-check-in URL would allow students to either scan the QR code, and it would also allow them to be able to input this in. Let's try that again. Okay, this might be I'll look into this. This is a bug. Normally what you have is students have both options. They can do a QR code, or they can input their first name, last name, and email, and their time of check-in, and it will check them in automatically. So there's two versions of it. Students can do it via web, via app, or you can have a kiosk setup as well. But basically this is this is intaking information around where students are on campus, which spaces they're using, because we want to make sure that the students that are attending those spaces, they don't have COVID, aren't showing symptoms of it, or they don't have any type of exposure where they might need to get retested, or if they haven't gotten tested, get their first test. So what this allows us to do is get all of that information on where students are going in one place. And it's opt-in basis, meaning, we're not just tracking students' location data. Students need to comply, scan the QR code in order to do this. And what forms and QR codes allow us to do is get information into the system. And once we have both pieces of information in, we can then manage all of this information in a very seamless way using cases. Cases allows us to take, in this case, we have a list of students that we already have here. It allows us to take these students and allows us to manage their history of their form completion, of their QR scans. It just basically allows us to manage their health history specifically around COVID. So we can come over here, we can see their name, we can see their email. We also have a privacy first, we have a privacy first approach, meaning for this student or for my user, I have it turned as off, but if I turn it on, the first name, last name, email becomes hidden, and I only see the health identifier, and the health identifier is unique, and that's how I reference a student. So we have that privacy protection in place as well, in case someone is managing this, the entire health and wellness and contact trace feature suite, and they should not be able to know who the student is. So we have that as well. But yeah, so we can come in cases, we can see the entire we can see the entire history of the student in this case, and we can see as a student is completing a form or as a student is performing any action that their status is changing. I'll provide a specific example that I made before here. Yeah. In this case, we can see set status. Oops. Sorry. Yeah. In this case, we can see John Paul over here created a daily pre-screener, but John Paul was already vaccinated. So again, this is set up in a specific way where a student completes in this case, the student completed a form. We got the information in, and we can then make the changes based on that. Just as another example, we see John Paul completing another form and their status being changed to symptomatic, meaning they're symptomatic. We automatically get an email through the system letting us know that John Paul is symptomatic, and we can come onto the system and we can review John Paul's status. We can communicate with John Paul, and we can either change their status or provide further communication to them. And I'll talk about the communication piece once we get to exposure notifications. In some cases, using the system, we can also do contact tracing. If this person has been in contact if this person has been in contact with other students, we can do contact tracing, and we can identify that, hey, this student was, at this specific event or at this specific classroom, and he was confirmed positive, and he was in the space of other students, and then those students' statuses would automatically change, and all of this will be notified to you. So it's a very automated way to manage all your cases very seamlessly. Last month, we made we made considerable improvements to this. What we had last year when we initially released this was a very opinionated version on what the contact tracing and anything related to safe reopen and monitoring student health around COVID. We had a very opinionated version on what that workflow should look like. What we've done in our last month's release is we've made it open so you can define your own workflow. And how we did that is by allowing all our customers to be able to create their own case statuses and their own campus passes. So what does that mean? What that means is before what we had clear, symptomatic, exposed, self-reported, COVID confirmed. We only had 5 statuses, but now you can come in, you can create your own statuses. If you want to, monitor testing, if you want to monitor vaccination, if you have another very specific status that you want to monitor for, you can simply add it here and you can link it to your form. So once a student completes the form, you can tie that form to a specific case status. In this case, how it's set up, let's say a student, I want to know, I created a vaccination form. I want to know if my student has actually gotten vaccinated, and the form has just one question, just upload an image of your vaccination card. The student uploads it, but I don't want the student to automatically be vaccinated. I want, in this case, I've created a status where I want someone from my team to be able to approve or deny that request. I don't, in our last training session, we actually provided a full demo of it. And we showed that, a student can, for example, in my case, I uploaded a picture of a cat, and it went to the status of vaccination is pending approval, and it was declined because it was not a vaccination card, it was a picture of a cat. So this is a step that I added in my specific workflow. So you can customize it to how you want to, and to how your campus specifically is setting up for, vaccination and testing-based workflows. We also now support and allow campus passes to be customized. So what this means is campus pass is what students see. When a student completes a form or scans into a QR code, they don't see all the backend stuff that I just showed here. All they see is I completed a form and I have a pass. And the pass just tells me quick information of what I need to do next. It's a communication layer for the student. Can they come to campus? Can they not come to campus? Are they, are they fully vaccinated and the institution has, approved their vaccination, or have they not? So a student completes a vaccination form, upload a picture of a cat in this case. I created a specific campus pass where the student sees that your vaccination is pending approval. And then there's a message that over here that says that their request is under review, and there is an SLA of 24 hours after which they will be provided next steps. So the student automatically knows right when they complete the form, their request is under review. Once it's been reviewed using our cases system, the administrator would change this to, let's say, vaccinated, and the student automatically becomes vaccinated, and they get a new pass informing them. If it does not, then we can, in our case, what we did was we created another pass called retest required, that the student needs to get retested or resubmit their vaccination form in the correct format that is required. So this is what we did. These are the improvements that we made last month, where we took our opinionated workflow from last year and we just opened it up where you can build your own case statuses and campus passes and customize your workflow to your specific institution's needs.
Also, much quick question here. If a school decided that they didn't want to necessarily approve every vaccination, and maybe they just want to spot check them later, but they would rather the student get the vaccinated pass right away, is that possible?
Absolutely. It's 100% open to how you want to set it up. So again, I'll go back here. In our case, basically what you would do is, I'll just do it right now. You would delete this and you would just have this vaccinated case status. You would not have you would not have, let's say, vaccination pending approval. You would simply have, a vaccinated pass. So all you have is vaccinated status and vaccinated pass. And simply what you would do is, let me create a form. Let me go to my vaccination form, call it, vaccination form. And I would just set it up. So this is a template that we've provided, that we've set it up. You can add or remove questions as you please. It's fully customizable. But on our last question, we would just simply add some logic to it, where we just say fully vaccinated. And we would just add this logic and tie it to the vaccinated status. And what this means is, and I'll walk us through it right now. Student has a welcome page that introduces them to the form. Student identifies which manufacturer's vaccine that they used. If they use Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, let's say the student picks Pfizer, they go to the next question, they upload their vaccination card, that's done. And then automatically the student would then go to this page over here that is provided to them that would say, thank you for submitting your vaccination status, fully vaccinated. And then what I've done here is I've tied it to the case status vaccinated. So automatically, once a student completes this form, I would see that form and I would see the data around that over here. This is just as an example, this is form, but it would say something like status change vaccinated, and the source is, it would not be escalated by a manual, but it would say the form's name, and you can click the form name and see the details. And what would happen on the student side is, the student would see this campus pass for vaccinated. So that's how you would set that up. It's fully customizable to how you want it. All you need to do is create your form and create the status that you need, and you just need to link both of them together. And then that status needs to be linked to a campus pass. So there's like a linkage that's happening from form to status to campus pass.
Perfect.
Any other questions, Dimitri?
No, none right now. I just came in.
Perfect. Something else that we can do is we can send exposure notifications. This uses our push notification system. If you're familiar with our Notify module, all the same feature sets are supported, and it basically allows us to send notifications through the campus app as push notifications to students. We can create and we can schedule these notifications. We can send them to a specific list of students. We can import the list via CSV, or we can send them to a specific case status. For example, we have, let's say, we've created a form, just as a example scenario, we've created a form and we just asked one question, are you vaccinated, yes or no? And let's say, 200 of our students say no, and let's say 500 say yes. So then what we've done is we've created a status for those. We've called that status not vaccinated students and vaccinated students, right? So we would simply come here and we would select not vaccinated students, and we can send all of those students a customizable message that, hey, you need to get tested. These are specific instructions, and we can give them more direct feedback as a push notification on what they need to do. And we can send that as a regular or as an urgent notification. Regular meaning it's delivered as a normal push notification. Urgent would mean that it would bypass their apps push notification settings. So if they have push notifications turned on the app, it would bypass those settings. So we can send communication and messages via push through the system as well. And our health and wellness and Contact Trace Plus feature suite supports both, students that are registered on the app and students that are not registered on the app. So we can send a form via web link to, let's say, there's some construction that's happening on our campus, or some guests that are coming in. We can send them the form via the web link. They can complete the form, and we can come here and manage their cases, or whoever is responsible for them can manage their cases and perform the same workflows as well. And that's a quick overview of exposure of the Contact Trace feature suites. Any questions before I move on to the next part?
Nothing coming in right now. Maybe we'll hop to reports. I think that will trigger some new questions.
Yeah, Dimitri, do you want to go to the slide deck? Perfect. Yeah. So what we've made some improvements to our health and wellness dashboard, and we've introduced. So we've already had this before, but we've made it more robust to allow for better visibility on the dashboard itself when using data. And we've made one improvement based on a lot of customer feedback on being able to tell at a specific location when a student is there, what is their case status? Like, are they vaccinated? Are they confirmed positive? Because that's what allows us to manage spaces better. If we have one person that was confirmed positive in a classroom, knowing that information allows us to, perform next steps, like, hey, maybe we ensure that we close the space off for a temporary period. It just allows us to manage our spaces on campus better. So that's the other improvement that we made. Next slide. Yeah, so first one is more robust data where you can view your vaccination progress, which you can view day to day or whatever interval period you select, the changes that you've had there. This is part of the case status dashboard. And the other one, next slide. Dimitri? Yeah, this is the QR code edition that I just mentioned, where you can see case statuses on QR code. I'll show what that looks like on the product. Dimitri, if I can share my screen, thanks. Yeah, so this is our health and wellness dashboard. You go to Insights, and it's the third item over here. If you have Contact Trace Plus purchased, you will see it over here. This is similar to what we had before. You can see how many students have the clear status, how many new reports are you getting, and how many exposures are, are on campus. We also have form compliance data, how many students are completing forms or not completing forms. And below we have health trends, which gives you an overview of your cases. So we made some changes and improvements here. First thing is, as you can see, there are plus and minus arrows, and you can see a list of statuses that are more than what you would normally have. So I'll walk through each of these. So as you use the graph, you can see on that day what the total number of your total number for each case status was. Like, I had 64 students on June 18th that were confirmed, 75 that were symptomatic. And then let's look at it for yesterday. I had 63 confirmed, 44 exposed, 49 self-reported. We can also see a plus and minus across all of these numbers. And the plus and minus means the day over day change. I'll find one that's over here. Yeah, so as you can see, on Friday, June 11th, we had 65 confirmed. That is +1 from the day before and +1 symptomatic from the day before. If we go down a few days later, yeah, so if you go to the next day, it's still 65, 73, no change, no change. And then on June 14th, we have +1, so it's 66. Confirmed, June 15, it's no change, so it's 00. As the day moves, it just changes the plus and minus. So you see the day over day changes that are happening. The other thing we've done is we've added all custom case statuses. So if you have case statuses for vaccination and you want to see your vaccination progress, you can come and do that. So one improvement we made here is you can only select the statuses that you care about and you want to look at. So I only want to look at vaccinations over here. And what I'm seeing over here is Johnson & Johnson vaccinations and Moderna. So I can see over here 18, I had 0 on June 27th, June 28th, I had 18 and 27, and June 29th, I had 17 and 27. So I can, if we have a case status for case status for vaccinations, then we can monitor the progress of how many students are vaccinated across our total student population here. We also made it easier to quickly visualize within a specific interval what the net change for that specific period is. Let's say I don't want to know, let's say I send reports on a 2-week period to my supervisor or someone in a different department because they rely on this data. So we can just select the previous 2-week period, and we see that over here. And if I hover over the graph, what I'm seeing is the total count of cases. But what we've added over here is the changes that are happening. For example, we can look at confirmed. Within the last 2 weeks, we had 1 new confirmed case, and 4 cases that were confirmed are no longer confirmed. So we can see the net change for this would be -3, which is 3 less confirmed cases than we initially had. And if you want to know the count, so we had 66 and now we have 63. So this is one way we can quickly visualize within a specific period what the changes that are happening are. We can download all of this data via CSV and do offline analysis as well. The second improvement that we've made is to QR codes themselves. Before, you could see locations, total visits, peak hourly traffic, and you could select which QR code that you wanted to look at. What we've added is case status. So I don't want to see, I know students are going to these locations, that's good to know, but I want to know how many of these students, are confirmed positive. So, we can now have those case statuses set up and we can start, segmenting the data using case statuses. So over here, we can see, okay, the library had 3 visits. So basically we can see total visits for 4. There were 2 students that visited, 4 times. So it's repeat visits 2. So it's like each student, 2 students, each student visited twice. And they visited the registrar's office and the library. So confirmed students went here, and we might want to look at, what's happening here, what's going on here. Was there like a mistake that the student wasn't actually confirmed, their case wasn't changed, or are these actually confirmed students and they should not be on campus? Like student goes on campus, they have a campus pass that's clearly issued to them that says you cannot come to campus, but they still do. This is a good way to monitor that. You can download who the students are via CSV, or what you can do is you can go to manage. We can come to QR codes. We can go to the library. We can see there's 89 visits, and we can see all our students that have visited the library, the entire historical data of it, and we can see what their case status at the time of the visit was. So we can search for the specific student if we want, if we know their name. We can select the time range we're looking at. We can select, a specific audience or experience that we want to, and we can also select case status. In this case, we were looking at confirmed. So this is something we've added here as well, along with the case status column. So we look at our confirmed student, and here we see within the time range we were looking at, which was within the last 2 weeks, we have these 3 students that were at the library, and 1 student was at the registrar office that were confirmed. So we know who the student is. We know their email information, and we have a direct link to their case. So we can just go over here and we can see that, okay, they're confirmed positive, and we can see their entire case history. So it's just a quick way of knowing students that are on campus and at these locations. If they shouldn't be on campus, it's a quick snapshot way of looking at it. We can come here daily, just look at or on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, and just see quickly what is our traction in terms of, how many students are visiting locations, and we can see, okay, how many are confirmed, meaning students that shouldn't be on campus, how many of those are visiting. Then we can provide that data to, the relevant people on campus who can take next steps on this. So that is the other improvement that we made to reports. Any questions?
You can use the chat or the Q&A to ask questions. I don't see any coming in right now, but
Perfect.
let's maybe
You wanna
continue going.
Yeah, let's move on to the next part. Dimitri, you want to share your
Perfect.
screen?
Absolutely. Sorry about that. All right.
1 second, Dimitri. Just
Yep.
quickly.
Before we get into that, Altamash, as everyone's just sitting up there, the next part we're going to talk about is really being able to stay up to date. So one of the things when we were talking with our customers, it's kind of two parts. One is we'd love to know, you guys are always putting on new releases. We typically put out a new set of code almost every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's larger in nature, sometimes it's completely new features or entitlements. And we'd really love to better understand what's coming out of the pipeline. So for that, we created What's New, and Altamash will talk more about that. And then outside of that, they also said, hey, we'd also love to be able to know and even weigh in on where the future of the Ready platform is headed. And that's more of a roadmap type conversation. And so we have something for that as well. So those are two things that Altamash is going to hit on this next section of the training.
Yeah, perfect. You already set me up for that, Dimitri. So next slide. Yeah. So we have two ways of, where you can get information and updates. One is What's New, the other is Coming Up. What's New is about once a feature, or once we've released a set of features or improvements, it's a one-stop shop where you can just identify what those improvements are, where you can get access to Help Center or other resources where you can self-serve. We also have, as you can see on the image on the left, our training webinars here where you can register and sign up for sessions like these. And you also have the list of bug fixes and other improvements we've made. So everything that went out in that release, it's a one place where you can quickly get that information. Coming Up is a place where you can see not stuff that we've released, but stuff that's going to come in the future. And it's going to be based on a quarter basis. So today we'll walk through the stuff we're going to do in July, August, September with you guys. So without further ado, I'll just quickly get into it. So how do we access our, how do we find these, how do we get to this page or get to this information that you saw on the slide deck? We can come on Campus Cloud. The first thing is anytime we update our What's New, what you will see is this question mark will have this orange icon or orange/red dot that you see on the top right. What this means that there is some type of change that is happening here. If you press it, you will see What's New, and you will see your orange dot. This means that something has been updated, something is new here. And if you go into it, it will list out all the new changes that have happened. So this is how you can know that, how you can know that there is something that has changed. And specifically within What's New, you will see the same thing as well, that something has changed. Once we see that something has changed, we can come over here and we can quickly see the changes and the list of changes. So our last change was June 28th. We had some testing vaccination improvements and our contact trace reports. You can see them all over here. We also have our Help Center where you can read in more detail and step-by-step instructions on how to get yourself familiar with these features. Our training webinar, which is happening right now, you can register for it. And after the session, I will also put the video here as well. So you can directly access the recording of this video from this page as well. And we have our other improvements. We did the same thing for May, the features that came out, and you can see the recording for the training webinar and all the other improvements. So this is the place where you can know once something is released, how to identify that something has been released using the notification icon, and then all the information you will find in What's New. But what about the future? We have this section that's added to What's New, where you will find a link to Coming Up over here. It talks about, we're improving our platform, and it just for you guys to know what's upcoming and what we're thinking about, and for you guys to give your feedback to help us inform our future roadmaps as well. So this is Coming Up. It is, we've broken it down into quarters. So we have Q3 and all the things we'll be doing in Q3, and you have a section for Q4 as well. I'll talk about, how you guys can use this and how all our partners can come in and, help us improve and make, better decisions to help serve you guys, in a much more, enjoyable, satisfactory manner. And then I'll go over the Q3 roadmap specifically. So any item that you see here, you can click it. It will have specific images, details around it. And at any, sorry, at any point you can come in and you can add a comment and you can leave your feedback. This feedback is really helpful for us because it allows us to actually take your thoughts and what you're thinking about it and incorporate it as we make these decisions. So, you can leave feedback on any of these features for Q3, and we have a section for Q4 where our Q4 roadmap isn't fully finalized. We're working on it right now, but we know some things that will happen where, as we saw our form system on Campus Cloud, that was very specific to contact tracing. One of the ideas is that we're going to move it into a generic form system so you can use it for anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily for contact tracing. You can use it for, forms for, let's say, residence hall applications or any other type of use case that you have. It's very customizable across many use cases. So that's one thing we're looking at. And then there's another part over here where you can give your feedback. You can come in here, add comments, what you would like to see us do, what your thoughts are, what are some of the changes you would want, and what are some of the problems that you're having that we can help with. We want to hear from you, and all of this feedback will be taken into account when we do our Q4 roadmap. So this is a place where you can identify what's upcoming and give us your feedback. So I'm going to walk through and provide an overview of each of the things that are coming in Q3. The first thing we're doing in Q3 is workflows. Oh, I saw a question come in. Do you want to take that before I start?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we access this, and can you post a link?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we go on Campus Cloud. We go on What's New. What's New tells us all the stuff that has already been released. And at the top of What's New, you will see the first banner that says, let us know your thoughts on our upcoming releases. And it has a direct link to Coming Up. And you click on it and you're at Coming Up. So that is how you would access it directly from Campus Cloud by clicking What's New. And once you're in What's New, it's the first clickable link that you have over here, which is called Coming Up. Right, let's get into our Q3 roadmap. So the first item that we're working on is workflows. This is part of our direction that we're moving towards to build a product around interventions. It's currently in development, and what this allows us to do is automate workflows across the entire Ready platform and across your campus. Right now, for example, just to give you an example, if a student completes a form, then someone has to manage the student's case, and then you have to come to the system and send, let's say, a notification to the student. Or if a student hasn't completed a form, this is what you would have to do right now. Student has not completed a form. Let me collect the data of those students using a report. Let me come to notify, create an announcement or exposure notification, create a notification and send them that announcement. Right? What this allows us to do is automate all of that. The system knows who hasn't completed a form. All you need to do is set up that workflow and set up the sequences or the actions and the steps that you would need. And you can automatically set it up in a way where a student, does not complete, let's say, their vaccination or testing form, within the 2-week time period that you've set, automatically go send them a reminder via push notification that, hey, send it. So you don't have to come in the system. It's basically building automation across the entire platform. Yeah, so that's the first piece that we're working towards. It's an add-on feature, and it's part of our Mental Health Plus entitlement and bundle. So it's something that you would have to purchase outside of the basic package if you're on the basic version of the product. So this is basically adding automations, and it's a step-by-step process. We're adding it to a few things, and then we're going to slowly, month over month, increase it and add it to many different parts of the platform. So you can build automations, early alerts, first responses. You can have content resources that are automatically scheduled and sent out. You can set up keyword alerts and other things as well. And you can, we also have an error log that's part of it, where you can monitor the activity, monitor the errors that are happening. So if something goes wrong at runtime or before runtime, you'll have those errors logged and you'll have next steps on how to course correct. So everything is monitored. It's basically a workflow automation system that you're used to. If you're in IT or other places, it's automation system that, that's you should be familiar with. So that's coming out, next month in July, and that's our plan right now. The other item for July, what we're looking at is Contact Trace API. We already have an API that is publicly available. I'll quickly show parts of it. So right now we support push notifications, user information, campus, experience, and audiences. So you can basically send communications via push. What we're adding it is support for contact trace. So you can pull data into our system and pull data out of our system. So you can pull out forms data, you can pull out or pull in QR code data, you can pull out cases, or you can import case data and notifications and analytics. So it allows you to use an API if you, let's say, need to send data to health authorities across, let's say, on a specific weekly or biweekly cadence, or you need to build reports and you have a different system, or you just have a different system where information is centralized. You can use the API and you can pull information and pull it out of our system. That's coming up end of next month as well. So it's all the features for contact trace you just saw, and they're getting an API. We will have documentation around the API, which will outline all the specific details around what's supported, what's not supported. For August, we're looking at email notifications. So right now our platform supports push notifications through Notify that we saw over here. We can send push notifications, but we know that we don't have 100% students using the app. So what do we do about sending key information to students that don't use the app? So what we're adding is support for email communications. You can increase your communication reach this way. You can reach all your students, and you're doing one system to do it. So you would come to the campus cloud, and same workflow, how you send a push notification, you would just be able to send an email notification as well. And one large improvement that this is having, this will support both students that are registered on the campus app and are not registered on the campus app. What that means is, if you're registered on the campus app, you'll get push notifications, or if you choose to, you can send them email notifications, or both as well. But if you're not on the app and you're not registered on the app, those students they can't get push notifications. They're not registered on the app, but they will get email notifications. So you can send email communications using our platform alongside push notifications. We also will be allowing our customers to create audiences for students that are not on the campus app as well. So that's another improvement that's happening. When you create an audience right now, whether it's a dynamic audience or it's a custom audience, right now the student needs to be registered on the campus app, but with this improvement, the student does not need to be on the campus app, and the system will automatically know if students are on the app, send them an email communication. If they're on the app, you can decide if it's a push or email communication. So that's part of this. The other thing is we're extending support for Contact Trace Plus customers, all the features that I went over with email communications as well. So Campus Pass right now is only available if you have the app. But now it's going to be sent to, if you don't have the app, you're going to have, or if you have the app and if you don't have the app, in both cases, you will also get an email version of it. So let's say, you forgot your phone at home, or you don't have a phone, you can still get it via email, and you can print it out, or you can, if you have a laptop, you can open it and quickly show it that as well. So our Campus Passes will support both email and app as well. Same thing with exposure notifications from our contact trace, supported by email now as well, alongside app that's already supported. So that's another improvement happening, and that's slated for August. We're working on another edition in August for multi-audience support. Multi-audience support is allowing it's improved data access across the contact trace feature. And what that specifically means is across our contact trace entitlement, what we've heard from our partners is that, if HR is using the system, they can't have access to student data. Or if someone that manages athletes, they shouldn't have access to other students that are not athletes. So what this will allow our partners to do is have granular access control at a feature level and at an audience level. What that means is when I give permissions for contact trace, I can specify which audience. So I can create an audience for athletes. And again, as I said, they don't have to be on the app anymore. They do not have to have a registered app account. If they have it, it's an improved experience. But all those communications can be sent via web and email as well now, or will be by the time this is released. So we can give them access to, let's say, I'm an athletics director, I should only have access to athletes. So when I give them permission, I only give them permission for athletes. So when they're using any of these features, forms, QR code, let's say, let's just look at library. Let's just look at cases here. I will only see athlete students here. I won't see any other student in this list. Only the data I have, only the audience and users I have access to, I will only see their data. Same thing with QR codes, same thing with the form results. I will only see access to the results that users I have access to. So this is an improvement that we're making, and we will be extending this across other features, but contact trace is the first place that we're adding this to. Right now, this is slated for end of August. It might be pushed to September. We're still finalizing some of the details, but this is one of the two biggest changes that we're making to the Ready platform. What we're calling this is resources. I'm going to skip the first page. So we've heard our customers, often say, I'll just show it. When you create an event, I'm just inputting fields. Or when I create, let's say, dining or services, I'm just inputting fields, and the app is just, it's already set. I don't have customization ability. I want to provide students with more, engaging content, engaging resources in a way that they can, it's in an engaging manner that they can, enjoy, consume in an easy manner, that, it's not just text. I want images, I want videos. So what we're doing is we're building a resources feature and it's built from the ground up, where you can take all the existing resources you have or build resources from scratch into the Ready platform. So what this means is, you would, just as an example, you would see, a list view of all the resources. This is specifically for Mental Health Plus. We have created resources to share with students across all these different, modalities: anxiety, stress, mood, homesickness, the brain, relationships. Once that's done, the next thing we've done is we've added the ability to create rich content. So if you use like Google Docs or Word, you're used to this. You have headers. So you have headers, subheadings, paragraph, unordered. You can do ordering. You can have bold, italics. You can have hyperlinks. You can add images. You can embed videos. And you can also link to other in-app content. So I'll show what that means. So an in-app content would be basically, just as an example, I create a resource for, let's say anxiety, and I want to share it, at midterm with my students. So I can come here, I can create that resource over here. And within the resource, I want to link it to a form, because, let's say, if students are still, they want more direct, help, and where I can support them. I just want them to complete a form, which could be like a intake form that I can use, and then I could send it to, counseling services or whoever would need to have access to the data so they can directly help students. So I create the anxiety, resource student can use to get help. If they need more direct support, they can complete the form, and we'll, someone from counseling will reach out to them and book a meeting with them. So that's what I mean by other resources from the Ready platform. So as you can see, we're connecting different resources all in one place. Students don't have to go to one tile for a resource, another tile for a form. It's all in one place. And you can also link other resources. So for example, a student you built an anxiety resource. Now you want to, send the student out to, maybe they have, you have one for mood. So you can directly add that, or sleep or depression. You can add that resource here as well. If they're interested, they can check those out as well.
So to confirm there, whereas before you might say, hey, struggling with tutoring, there's a tutoring service on campus. Here's the information. You can find more by going to this tile on the campus guide and clicking this button. Now you would just be able to say, hey, we have a tutoring service on campus that can help out, and then embed that little piece, that resource right there.
So it's about like students having to self-serve versus us, giving everything to students in one place. A student having to go through a list view to find the other resource, search for it, all of that is friction. But now you can bring all of that in one place to remove that friction. So again, adding a link and just linking, that's not pleasant to students. So what we've done is we've introduced these cards. So as you can see, this is, again, right now it's only available for the resources that you can share from inside the product, and it only supports it's only going to support forms and other resources. But you can see here, it's no longer just, a hyperlink. It's another resource called Eating Healthy for Your Mind, and the image. And when a student sees it, they see it in this, a more presentable manner. I'm going to show some examples and mocks of what you can do with this. So this is example number 1. This is a resource you can create using the system. So I have like heading here, I have some messages here, and I have added an image, and this is a link to another resource. So instead of having, you can go to current resources on the app, what you have, currently versus now what you can do and what you can build. Same thing over here. This is just another manner where I want to have a bunch of resources about, healthy mind and nutritional guide all in one place. So I can just link them directly here. Student can go to one place, access all of this. So as you can already see, instead of having like even in this list view, you can see the information without having, and see like descriptions of it without having to go into it. And it's more engaging and presentable for the student. So this is one of the 2 biggest changes that we're making. It's slated for end of August, might be delayed, but right now it's for end of August, and we're working through it. Yeah, it's a rich content builder, a resource builder. If you use other products, you should be familiar with it. If you use like Notion, if you used, slide deck that we were showing, like it takes all these different elements. A good example of this would be Medium. If you read Medium articles, like you can build rich content in a similar manner. So that's resources. And then the last item is community alerts. Community alerts, what this allows us to do is instead of being more reactive with the community, like we know our community is used by a lot of students and it's accessed very frequently. So instead of being reactive and being on the community and reading through it, we can start being more proactive with it. What this allows us to set it up is keyword alerts, custom keyword alerts that will send us emails anytime a student, writes that word in the, in the community. An example, a student writes, I've set up a keyword for suicide. A student goes on the community and, uses the word suicide, that's all. Instead of us having to find and, search for it or find it or filter through it on, the campus cloud, you'll automatically get an email alert. It will have, the context of the message in which the email itself will have the message and the context, like what it said, so you can get context, and it will have a link as well where you can go into campus cloud and see what was said. You can create and manage all your keywords as well. Like I can set up keywords around stress, anxiety, suicide, depression, and I can manage all of those. I can have a quick counter of how many times those words have been said, like anxiety was said like 100 times. And then I can also have access control over who receives email alerts and who doesn't. We don't want to have, administrators who, shouldn't be getting these or are not responsible for them to get these. For them, it would be, spam, and it would just be, they're not responsible for it. They shouldn't be getting it. So we can actually decide that these administrators should get these community alerts, and it's just being more proactive with, what's happening on the community. And and again, you can also gauge how often a keyword is being used. This is, our first improvement towards, not just the community, and also moving, as I said, towards more of an interventions direction where it can be, instead of being reactive, it can be more proactive, but also in terms of, moderating the community and being, providing customers with the tools that, allow them to build the community in a more safe and secure manner. So this is slated for September, and these are the Q3 items that we're working on. And all of these items that I went through, from community alerts, resources, email notifications, are supported with workflows. So you can automate all of this. For example, just to present some examples, I can schedule my, resources and content that I've built for right before midterm exam, and I can send them as email notifications so students get them via email. I can send them as push notifications to, let's say, a specific cohort of students, let's say athlete students in this case. And I can also post it on the community as a message, as a post, so I can send it on all 3 channels. And once that's set up, it just happens automatically. And then, or we can set it up, a student completes a form, or a student completes a form, and a student completes a student completes a form, and the student's form result was, let's say that they that they were, confirmed positive. I can automatically set up, an email alert, whoever is responsible for it, that it will automatically trigger and let them know that the student is, confirmed positive, take the next steps. And I can also at the same time, send that student specific resources or other information, that they would need to provide next steps for them. That's another example of this. And we can basically mix and match and combine a lot of these things to set up really powerful automations with the system.
Sweet. I know we're running low on time here. We got about a minute left on our scheduled time. I think it was a really great look at some of the stuff that's upcoming, but we definitely encourage everybody to go click what's new from the Campus Cloud so that you're able to go check those out at kind of your own speed, as well as kind of comment and give us feedback. We did get a couple of questions there that I answered as we were going along. Some of the group thought, thanks for listening on the email notifications. They're really happy to see that. We have one maybe last question we can hit here before we close out. Can a resource be created once and shared among all schools serviced by our app? I think specifically that's for Debbie, who's asking that and Debbie's got the multi-campus entitlement. So wondering, I think, as far as creating one resource and sharing across multiple campuses.
Yeah. Short answer is right now, no. Long-winded answer would be, we know we need to extend upon how we're doing multi-campus support, and we're slowly moving towards there. It's a step-by-step action. Like the way it's being built is that in the future, if we want to do it, we can, but there's a lot of other considerations around permissions that we need to consider before we can access control. And even like different types of audiences across different schools and how they mix in. Like there's all these considerations we're thinking about and slowly working on before, if we just build it in this way, it's going to have other issues that happen. So we don't want that to happen. We want to provide the best experience, and we're step-by-step getting there. But right now, no, it won't be.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We really appreciate everybody coming by. Hopefully you learned a little bit about Contact Trace, as well as the reporting feature, as well as some new features we're going to be building and coming out with over the next few months. Like I said, please check out those items and comment and post. Someone had said, thanks for listening. Well, the way we build great product is by listening. And the way we listen is by first having feedback that comes from our great customers. So we obviously keep encouraging you to send over that feedback. We're all ears. It really helps us do our job better. With that, I thank Altamash for today's training and everyone for coming by, and wish you a happy and safe July 4th weekend. If that is relevant for you, if you're there, if you're one of our Canadian customers, well then enjoy July 1st and Canada Independence Day. Either way, I think everybody might be celebrating over the next few days. Be safe. Thanks a lot, and see you all soon.